just want to thank everybody for coming today. My mom asked me to write some things, to share some thoughts about my brother Joey. And I really struggled with this because the truth is I couldn't possibly sum up my brother's life in 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 10,000 minutes. It cannot be done. But what I can do is share memories that my family shared with me and let those stories speak to the man who my brother was. But first I want to say Joey was a devoted husband and father. And everyone here knows how much he loved his wife, Sue. And how proud he was of David and Rochelle. And how he absolutely adored his granddaughter, Reagan. One of Joey's favorite pastimes was carrying Reagan on his back and going for long walks along his land. And I can't tell you how sad it makes me that she won't get to know what a unique and wonderful grandfather she had. But we're so fortunate to have Joey in our lives as a big brother. So I'd like to share some stories about what that was like. And I've been talking to my family, and they shared some of their thoughts and memories about Joey. And the first one I want to share with you is from my brother Stephen. And he said, I was probably like 9. And all of us boys went camping at Long Lake and Blue Mountain. Awesome camp, man. The kids now, they laugh at the Boy Scouts, but that was a great experience. We'd get up in the morning and you could practice shooting the bow and arrow. We'd shoot guns and you'd go to the beach, go canoeing, go fishing. It was just a great, great experience. And this one time, the 3 of us boys were trying to get our canoe merit badge. And to get it, we had to canoe like for so many hours. We had to jump out, tip the canoe over, get it upright, and get back in. And let me tell you, that is some tricky shit. And it was raining.
Especially now.
Yeah. And it was raining. And, you know, it was raining and we were getting soaked and it was cold. And then we had to cross this lake, but we did it. We did it. We crossed the lake and we set up camp. And it's like the middle of the night and it's raining, pouring, thunder and lightning, freezing, we're getting wet, the storm is getting worse. And all I can remember is I wanted out. I wanted out, Pappy. I wanted my mommy. And
I thought you liked that. Hey, a minute ago you liked that. Right.
And I started crying. The more it rained, the more I cried. And I just remembered Joe, you know, kind of doing one of these. He pulled me in. He just curled me up next to him, and he made me feel better, you know. Joe took care of me, and we made it through the night. My brother never stopped being a big brother, even when he was sick. And my sister Colleen told me that after her and her husband Brian lost their house in the Florida hurricane, that Joey would call her often to check on her. Hey, honey. I'm thinking about you. How you doing? And Colleen said, I just remember kind of losing it, you know? Right there on the phone. Just, we cried together. And now I know that Joey at that time was a lot sicker than he was telling us. But with all that he had going on, he still made it a point to check on me. And it's true. We've learned that Joey knew more than what he was telling us. And although I wish he hadn't done that, I think it was his final call to action as our big brother. He was protecting us. He was, as Michael said, a best friend to all of us. And as little sisters, some of our fondest memories are when he took us girls camping at Crystal Lake. And Michelle remembers how he would take her and Maria on early morning trips to catch the sunrise on Otsego Lake. And they'd fish till sunset. And after doing all that, Michelle snagged her line in the seaweeds and still lost Joey's favorite lure. But Joey loved to fish. And he loved ice fishing most of all. And if you haven't already put it together, he could not care less about the materialistic pursuits around any sport. The bells and whistles, the gear. He did it for the sheer love of it. He just wanted to be out there with the natural world. And Stephen told me that when he went ice fishing, he wouldn't even bring a heater. Nip said, I was not playing. Like, I had my Mr. Buddy heater with me, you know. It was cold, but you go into Joe's shanty, and he's got, like, a mason jar with a handle in it. The truth is, the imaginations of what lies beneath the surface of a frozen lake is not the only thing that Joey loved about fishing. My brother Michael said it beautifully when he said, with Joey, it was not about a trophy. It wasn't about the biggest rack or the biggest fish. Joey didn't need a big fish story. Joey just wanted the experience. And yeah, it was fun snagging those 30-inch pickerel. But for Joey, I think it was just as much for the companionship of his brothers and his nephews, or at times for the solitude, or just the sheer love of the landscape. And my brother was so generous. Michelle told me about a time that she was with Joey in his barn, and she was admiring a Norman Rockwell painting on his wall. And Joey said, Michelle, you like that picture? Take it. And Michelle said, no, Joey, I don't want to take a picture off your barn wall. Joey lifted the picture off the nail and handed it to my sister. Michelle, don't say another word. I'm giving it to you. All of us have something of Joey's, something that he picked up at some garage sale, some auction, some antique show. Or we get stuff from his annual lawn sale at my mom's. Every August, Joey would set up shop in my parents' yard. It had become something of a family tradition where we gather for food and a little mischief and just make a day of it. But the best part was watching my brother in action. He was in heaven that weekend, answering questions about where the things came from, how old they were, what the story was about the piece, or maybe some adventure that it took to even get him to buy the object. But the wheeling and the dealing, hey, will you take $8 for it? Tell you what, I'll give it to you for 10. But what if I buy 2? All right, $8, you got a deal. And he loved every bit of it. We all did. And let me tell you, some summers, he made a killing. And at some point over the next couple days, we'd get a call from my mom. Listen, Joey left you a vase. Listen, Joey left you a tool. You know, you had asked about it, he saw you looking at it, and you didn't take it. It's here, just so you know. And even beyond the sale, the things Joey collected came in handy all the time. Michael told me, Joey always had what you needed. You know, you'd text him with the most random requests, like you needed some unusual tool, or you needed some special specific pin for an axle or something, like 1,000,001 chance that he might have it, and he texts you back with a picture of it. He had it. He always had it. I've been thinking a lot about my brother's hobby, his love of garage sales and antiques. He made a sweet little side hustle out of a lifelong hobby, sure. But also how he saw value in things that most people had grown tired of, or who, for whatever reason, deemed the objects no longer useful. Not my brother. He did not focus on the chip and the single teacup. He looked at the whole set, and he could imagine it still had some use. Joey saw possibilities. And most people don't have that kind of imagination. He approached people and relationships with the same philosophy. Just because there might be a chip doesn't mean you have to throw it away. He saw value and possibilities in people even when they didn't see it in themselves. Like when he coached soccer, and the kids who were, the ones who were not so athletic, or the ones who had low self-esteem. Joey would help them muster up the courage, help them find their confidence. He was so patient. He saw potential in people. And for the same reasons, Joey was often the mentor on the job. When there was a new guy, Joey was the one to usher them in. Stephen told me that on the job, Joey was a great teacher. No matter who it was, he took the guy in and he would learn what that guy could do. And he'd help him where he needed help, and he would just make it work. Whatever it was, whoever it was, Joe just made it work. He was a mentor to my nephew Stevie when Stevie first started working with my brothers. And Stevie told me I wanted to be just like Uncle Joe. And I'd watch him, like how he handled things. He was so patient, and he taught me how to be patient. And I always admired that. He was a gentleman. And my sister Elson said, Joey didn't judge anyone for missteps or mistakes. Joey just focused on the possibilities. He met you right where you were. That's where his mind was. Never fixed on the chips or the cracks. He was one of the most patient and evenly tempered human beings I have ever known. And if someone was getting worked up about something at work, Stephen told me, sometimes that happens, and he would get worked up about something at work, that Joey would just chime in with his quiet strength. It's all right. We'll fix it. We'll straighten it out. And you ask anyone, and anyone in this room, he was never rattled. He just always sort of remained calm. Whether it was under his mentorship on the job site, or if you were on his soccer team, his nature brought out the best in you. Joey was a carpenter. I just want to read a quote that I found. You show me a man who works with his hands, and I'll show you a laborer. You show me a man who works with his hands and his brain, I'll show you a carpenter. You show me a man who works with his hands, his brain, and his heart, and I will show you an artist. My brothers are all artists. Joey was an artist and a master carpenter. And if you have not already, check out his and Michael's. Was Stephen on that project?
That was Joe.
Work.
Was a big part of that. Remington Arms Museum.
Remington Arts Museum.
It was just one of the many of memorable projects. But
Yeah.
Steve was overseeing, Joe and I worked on it, but our companies did it, HRB, but that specifically, Joe's name is on that, and that, nice work. But we had a lot of that. We had a lot of things like that that we
Yeah.
did with our company.
Yeah.
What?
My brother's hands and my brother Joey's hands helped build those beautiful oak and glass display cabinets, like Michael said, among so many other things. And the next time you walk up the steps of beautiful historic St. John's Church, remember, my brother's hands helped make those grand steps as beautiful as they are. And if you are ever on the Hamilton College campus, I'll give you a tour of our main stage Romano Theater, and I'll show you the work my brothers did. I recently just learned that the building I've been working in for the past year was built in part by my brothers. And I cannot tell you how proud that makes me, and how every time I walk through those doors from here on out, I'll think of Joey. And finally, I just want to talk to you about my mother's special relationship with Joe. Among a million things she'll miss about her son, she will miss morning visits with my brother. He would call on the phone some random Tuesday morning. Hey, Ma, you eat breakfast yet? Come on over, Joe. I'll make us some eggs. They shared a lot over tea and breakfast, and Joey would tell her all about the kids and Sue and Reagan, and the two of them would just talk about life. For Christmas this past year, Joey gave my mother the most beautiful wind chimes, jet black, with pastel dragonflies on it. And you'll find it right off her back porch, right where she can hear its music and watch it sway in the wind. And I don't think it's a coincidence that of all the wind chimes he could have chosen, this past December, he chose one with dragonflies. If you look up the spiritual meaning of a dragonfly, they signify a loved one who passed. And Native Americans believe that when you see one, they were the actual spirits of a loved one coming back to the living to show that their soul is free, giving those left behind permission to live in the joy of the present. I like to believe that's true, but whether it is, it doesn't matter. I truly believe that's exactly what Joey meant, and that's what he would want us to do. At my brother's bedside in the hospital, my mother told Joe, Joey, I want you to know you were the best son. And Joe, we're gonna be okay, Joe. We have each other. We're gonna be okay. And echo those words, Joey, you were the best big brother, the best. And we're gonna be okay, Joe. And for all you gave us, for all you taught us, and for being the best big brother, thank you.